Howdy. This is the Views from the Shop podcast. We are live. It is weird, but we're still here on a Friday, January 9th, 2026. No Pants Subway Ride Day. On today's show, we are recapping the Ohio State win over Oregon that took place technically today for us here in Ohio. The Buckeyes pick up a win over the Ducks. Final score Ohio State 72, Oregon 62. The Buckeyes cover quite easily as they were the underdogs in this game. So we will cover in this game the entire game, keep performing Ohio State. We will get into my biggest takeaways from the game as well as the Buckeyes up a big win here over the Ducks. Now, I know that there's not going to be a lot of people tuning in for this live show, but I bring it to you. Why? Well, because people have been waiting for this show. I've gotten DMs and messages in the Substack, which I'm thankful for. I'm not going to complain about that. But I go live just so that for those who would like, they can now get their content as soon as possible. Now, I'm writing a note here on the Substack. You should be there. You really should be there on the Substack. There on the Substack, views from the shot podcast.substack.com. You get a bunch of updates on Ohio State basketball. It is your only hub for Ohio State basketball and Ohio State basketball exclusively, the only hub in the world for that. So highly encourage you get there and subscribe. You can also get in on the Insider Substack as well. There you can get a bunch of scoops from me and have some fun with some other Ohio State basketball sickos. So would recommend that you get there as well. All right. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast, please. That would be phenomenal if you could do that. And give a 5-star review. 5-star review helps. So let's get into a recap of this game. I'm trying to find one thing. All right, there we go. As we get into this recap, I tell you what, I did not expect Ohio State to win this game whatsoever. I thought with the injury to Jackson Shellstat, okay, maybe Ohio State has a chance, but coming into it without Brandon Knoll, facing a team with a really good front court, at least built by the front court, obviously led there by Nate Biddle. I thought not a great shot for Ohio State in this one, but with no Jackson Shellstat, I think we all had a little bit of excitement going into this game, and most of us probably missed portions of this game falling asleep or just having to go to bed. I strategically placed my nap well before the game. Man, I had to miss some Ole Miss and Miami action, but that was worth it to see my Buckeyes. And we get to what probably after 1 a.m. is when we go to bed, but that's what happens with conference realignment, which I hate with a passion that I have to do that and that we have to do it, but they don't care about us, folks. They care about their money, and that's it. And that's fine. But going into this game, it was not an expectation for me that Ohio State would win it. I'll get into why actually I mind. If you're not on the Substack, I explain why there. But the reason I did not give you a pregame show, I had all the notes, everything was ready to go. Unfortunately, with work, with the podcast, with a new puppy, and with some plumbing emergencies in our new home this week, it made it absolutely impossible for me to record an episode. I kept trying to. Puppy's awake. Puppy goes to sleep. Let's try to do something. Don't have time to do it. Need a bigger window. Whatever the case may be. It's fine. I don't need you to feel sorry for me, but it would make me feel better if you did. So that's why I didn't have a pregame show. Expected an Ohio State against Washington pregame show coming up here on Saturday morning for you. So just be advised. That's why, again, you don't have to feel sorry for me, but it would make me feel better if you did. So key stats from this game in Ohio State against Oregon. I think number one, what do we have to look at? It's the second half run Ohio State had. Buckeyes go on a 21-0 run against Oregon in this win from the 13:37 mark to the 6:44 mark in the second half. Ohio State absolutely dominated this game. Devin Royal had 7 points. John Noble Jr. added 6 points of his own. Amari Bynum, Christoph Tilly, Gabe Cupps also involved. The craziest thing about 21-0 run for Ohio State, it's not the 21-0. It's that maybe is the craziest part. It's not the fact that Oregon couldn't make a shot during this period. For me, it's the fact that Bruce Thornton did not have any points during this stretch for Ohio State, where they were very, very that was surprising to me. Ohio State absolutely Oregon during this 7-ish minute stretch, and Bruce Thornton really didn't have anything to do with it scoring wise. He may have had an assist during that stretch, although he might have. I think did Bruce Thornton finish this game with 0 assists? He did finish this game with 0 assists, actually, so he didn't even have assists as a part of the stretch for Ohio State. The fact that you can do that 21 to nothing without the help of Bruce Thornton scoring is absolutely huge for the Buckeyes. Now, as you look at Oregon shooting during this stretch, they would miss 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shots in a row from the field. Probably had a couple of turnovers in there as well. But this is what absolutely broke open the game. Ohio State got out to its biggest lead at this point as well, which was, I'll tell it to you just in a second. I know it's later on the show I say it, but I'll do it here as well. 67 to 43. 67 to 43. 21-point lead for the Buckeyes. That was the biggest lead of the game for Ohio State. So that's what ended this game effectively. Ohio State, they led by looks like 2 points. Sorry, they led by 5 points. No, they led by 3 points. Okay, shut up and just say it right. They led by 3 points before this run started. Then they led by 21 points, which that math still isn't mathing. Who gives a crap? They were up by a little bit, then the game was over at that point. Oregon had a little bit of fight. Obviously, they came back, made it a 10-point game at the end. Ohio State really slowed down the possessions, which I was fine with. I know I had someone in our Substack say they weren't pleased with that. We still need to get up high quality shots. I think with the lead that you have, it's okay. Just meld away the shot clock as best as you can and then move on from there. So Ohio State wins this game, thanks in large part due to this 21 to nothing run. Another key stat in this one, balanced scoring from Ohio State. When you expect when your leading scorer scores 14 points a game, you expect your team to lose, and that was not the case for Ohio State. The Buckeyes' leading scorer tied. Devin Royal, Chris Tilly, both have 14 points. I would expect my favorite to lose a basketball game if my leading scorer has 14 points, or even two leading scorers have 14 points. But the Buckeyes get it done here with a lot of help from different players. You look at Devin Royal, 5 of 9 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line. He also pulled in 10 rebounds. Really nice effort in 36 minutes, I think, from Devin Royal. You're just going to have to get used to some good moments, some bad moments from Royal. Defensively, losing guys, maybe you'd like to see him block out a little bit harder. Offensively, just some weird passes, maybe zipping a pass into the paint too quickly or not being able to catch back, whatever the case may be. There's just sometimes some bad moments from Devin Royal, but there's also sometimes some very, very good moments from Devin Royal. I thought it was a nice opportunity for him in this game to kind of over a little bit offensively without Brandon Knoll, and he did kind of. He led the team in scoring along with Christoph Tilly. There's going to be an opportunity here for him to potentially slide to the floor and get some more playing time inside, which I think is where we all want him. He's still shooting the three ball relatively well. I think he went 1 of 2 in this game, and now on the season, courtesy of college basketball analytics and also literally anywhere else you can get this number. But on the season, Devin Royal is now shooting 36% from the 3-point line, which is 72nd percentile in college basketball this year. Not bad whatsoever. So a good game out of Devin Roy. Also look at Christoph Tilly, 4 of 6 from the field. I think the biggest bright spot among these 14 points from Christoph Tilly is the fact that he picked up his second foul less than 5 minutes into this game, and he finished the game not fouling out with 2 minutes left, not with 4 fouls, not with any kind of serious foul trouble down the stretch. He had 3 fouls. He put 2 in the first 5 minutes. After that, just 1 more foul. Ivan Negron comes in and he comes in, kind of helps the minute distribution there with Christoph Tilly, who's always going to get more minutes in this game. But I think it was really, really impressive with Christoph Tilly. I know a lot of fans are frustrated with him. He wasn't great rebounding the ball in this one either. But overall, I was impressed with how Christoph Tilly got into this game and just did not foul over and over and over again. He kind of had to get settled in. Once he got settled in, 2 fouls, leads to 3. That's fine. I'm good with that from Christoph Tilly in a game where front court, you needed to be strong and you lose the depth of the first time all year, no game or a game without Brandon Knoll. So that was impressive from Christoph Tilly. John Mobley Jr. had 13 points. Felt like they all kind of came at one time there in the second half where he got really hot. 3 of 7 shooting, 2 of 5 from deep, including one that came from like outside of just barely outside of Corvallis. I don't know where Corvallis is in relation to Eugene. I think they're not that or they're not that close. Also not that far. It was a deep 3 pointer that John Mobley Jr. made. He picked up 5 rebounds as well, so it was a nice showing from John Mobley Jr. in this one. And Bruce Thornton with a quiet 12 points. I irrationally would like him to score 20 plus every single night. I want him in consideration for every national end of season award that he can get. I want him first team All Big Ten. I want Andy Katz to not freaking ignore him, unless of course we're talking about the best perimeter defenders in college basketball. And then Andy Katz will talk about Bruce Thornton for who knows what reason. Quiet game for Bruce Thornton. Good game nonetheless. 12 points. Didn't really appear to be his best night. He didn't really take over at any time. He had 5 points, just 2 made field goals in the second half. The triple early in the half in the second half felt really big for Ohio State as Oregon kind of came in pretty hot there in the second. But nice game for Bruce Thornton. Not the best. Overall, where does this rank for Bruce Thornton in terms of scoring production this year? Let's find that because I'm curious. This would be his second lowest scoring game of the year. He scored 11 against Western Michigan in a 26-minute game, but in terms of points per 40, this would be lowest. He played 37 minutes in this game, scored 12 points, 5 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point line, not bad, but solid game from Bruce Thornton. Would like more? Sure, I'm selfish. Amari Bynum also had 10. He's going to have the chance to really, really come into his own here as in the second half of this season. I was told, I don't remember by who, and I don't remember when, but I was told at some point during this season that, yeah, there was a chance Murray Bynum would kind of find his way into the starting lineup, maybe sometime in January. That's when he was trending. It was possible. It's also possible he was going to come off the bench all year long. Turns out Bynum ahead of schedule. He starts in December in that game against North Carolina. There's now nothing to hold him back. I think that without Brandon Knoll, Amari Bynum, it kind of gives you a little bit more confidence, a little bit more crap to you to say, you know what, I'm going to take over and I'm going to be the starting power forward and I'm going to bring it here at the 4 position because no one else really can for us right now at Ohio State. So Oregon, they came out guns a-blazing to start this game on the boards. I was very concerned about how Ohio State was going to perform on the glass, especially against Oregon on the offensive glass. Bynum had 1 early rebound. I think that's it. But just the energy and just the body that you have to block out against Amari Bynum, that's something. It could have been a much different outcome without Bynum in this game. He was really, really good. He didn't get involved all that much in rebounding, but he had to be accounted for. That meant something. His scoring, 10 points. He had a couple of really just big buckets for Ohio State in this one. So Bynum was really, really good in this game. It was a balanced scoring effort overall for Ohio State. Nate Biddle. Rarely do I bring up an opposing team's player and the key stats, but I will bring up Nate Biddle because this was huge. He had 2 points. He was 1 of 11 from the field in the first half. He missed all 3 triples. If you would have told me that, I would have been hammering Ohio State money line. Not that I bet much at all anymore, but I might have deposited just to hammer Ohio State money line. You don't have Jackson Shellstad. Nate Biddle is very, very bad in the first half. That makes you probably lean toward, I think Ohio State can win this game. Now, he did finish with 14 points. He upped the scoring late in the second half, but he didn't make his first 3-pointer of the game until Ohio State was up 67-43. So the game was well out of hand at that point. And if that's the case, go ahead, Biddle. Make a 3, make a second one, maybe make a third even. I think Ohio State's going to be fine. And that's the case. In this one, I was really concerned about if Jackson Shellstad played in this game, how Ohio State would be able to win. Without Shellstad, really offensively, it's a balanced effort as well for Oregon. They had 4 guys coming in this game, averaging 13 points per game or more. But without Shellstad and with Biddle playing that poorly, you're without your 2 top scorers. And when that's the case, you've got a good chance to win the game. And that's what Ohio State did. They did a great job on Biddle. Oregon was awful from the field. We'll talk about that in just a second. But shutting down Nate Biddle was huge for Ohio State winning this game. Now, the Oregon shooting. They started 1 of 10 from the field in this game, then 2 of 17. With less than 4 minutes left to go in the first half, Oregon was 4 of 28 from the field. That is absolutely awful. You can't have it. I think Ohio State's zone really affected Oregon in a positive way for Ohio State in this one. Quite honestly, you look at Jackson Shelstad, he certainly would have helped here, I'm sure, but he's not the most efficient scorer. He needs a lot of volume to score. The guy Simpkins, I mean, he's solid in terms of efficiency. He was only 2 of 9. I already talked about Nate Biddle. Nobody could score. Nobody could make a shot for Oregon in the first half. And Ohio State, hang the banner. Hang the banner now. Ohio State led at halftime against a Power 5 opponent. For the first time all season, they didn't do it against Notre Dame. They didn't do it against Pitt. They didn't do it against West Virginia. They didn't do it against North Carolina, not against Illinois, not against Northwestern. They won the game. Couldn't even do it against Rutgers and didn't do it against Nebraska either. I think that's all the Power Conference games they played this year. They have not led at halftime one time against a Power 5 opponent. They finally did it in this one. Probably should have led by more. Probably feel like at halftime you're like, man, this should be a 10-point game for Ohio State at this point. It wasn't, but regardless, the Buckeyes were exceptional defensively. I wonder. I'm doing a lot of wondering on this show. This is a guy. You're looking at a guy now. Here's a guy who slept about 5 hours last night. So not great. Not great. So I don't know where my brain goes. But I am curious in terms of defensive rating. Was this the best one Ohio State had in the Power Five team this year? Against Notre Dame, they were at 96.4, and against Oregon, 102.1. So this was the second best game for Ohio State in terms of defensive rating against a power conference opponent all year. Good game for the Buckeyes. Another key stat in this one: Ohio State led for 38 minutes and 32 seconds. For the first 58 seconds of the game, they were scoreless. So they were tied there. So basically, Ohio State led for the entire game. I tell you what, this was a game where you lose Brandon Knoll, and I get Oregon did not have Jackson Shelstad. You still didn't have Brandon Knoll. You're facing a really good front court. You don't have Josh Ojawuna, which I again will contest. I don't think he plays this year. You don't have a 15th guy on the roster at this point. Braylon Nash was a walk on. He remains on the roster. The depth is not there for the second straight year. The depth is not going to be there for Ohio State. The ability for the Buckeyes to come out and absolutely dominate on a 3-hour time change, which I posted a video, very nice conversation. You probably saw it with Hugh Banks, who came on the show during the summer guest series, kind of explain how does Ohio State prepare to go out west for those West Coast trips. And then someone in the comments is just like, going on about how stupid what Banks said, and I didn't understand the comment. That's fine. We kind of talk through what do we do to get prepared for this time change. Whatever they did this time, it worked. Really good to dominate on the road, regardless of the opponent. I don't think Oregon is that bad. I think Ohio State just stifled them in this game, and that was really encouraging and just fun to see. For those who stayed up to watch the game, last point here: Oregon, their offensive rebounding in this one was stifled. 38.1% offensive rebounding rate coming into this game. That was 94th percentile in college basketball. 13.6 offensive rebounds per game. Came into the game with 15 second chance points per game and 10th in the nation in percentage of points scored off the second chance. In this one, Oregon's offensive rebounding rate came in lower than their season average, and they scored the exact same amount of second chance points that they averaged throughout the year with 15. This was a huge concern for me coming into this game. I know you can say what you will about Brandon Knoll, just having the body, having the presence there in the front court, I think is really important for Ohio State. Without him against this type of front court, it worried me. It was a concern 5 minutes into the game where Oregon was piling up the offensive rebounds. They had a couple early, a few more after that, and they looked like they were going to have an opportunity to really dominate on the offensive glass. Did Oregon, but Ohio State, they cleaned it up. They finished this game allowing a little bit more than Oregon's season average in terms of total offensive rebounds. The offensive rebounding rate is what I care about, and the Buckeyes were good there. That was absolutely huge for Ohio State in this one. So I think that's a big part as to why Ohio State won this game. Takeaways in this one. So we come to this game. We don't know what Ohio State's going to look like. You don't have Brandon Knoll. It's a 10:30 game. It's just weird. Everything about this is weird. And you know what else would have been weird? Would have been weird for Ohio State to lose this game given the shooting from Oregon. I already talked about how bad they were in the first half, talked about Nate Biddle. Oregon finished this game shooting below 33%, not from the three-point line, but from the entire field. They're below 33%. Nate Biddle, nowhere to be found. I mean, you couple that with no Jackson Shellstat, it was gonna be hard for Oregon to find points when those 2 things are true. And then you look at how poorly Oregon shot and all the other weird factors coming in this game. It would have been very easy for Ohio State to lose this game just with the weirdness. They couldn't afford to lose this one. I know that a lot of fans, once you get into January, even December, they start to talk about how games are must win. I don't believe that these games is no, it's so tired of me to say it. I think it's a tired take to say, hey, this is a must win. I don't think we're in the territory yet for Ohio State to have must-win games, but you can't afford to lose that type of game where Oregon is so bad offensively, and yet you still find a way to lose. I feel like that's something that we've seen from Ohio State in the past, and we didn't see it in this one. I thought that was huge for Ohio State. I also think another takeaway from this one, winning this game with the foul trouble and absolutely no depth that Ohio State has right now is quite something. And just for this game, I think some of you may potentially owe Jake Diebler an apology. Now, look, I'll hand up. I'll raise my hand. I was critical of Jake Diebler after the loss to Nebraska. I had a lot of things to say, and I was pretty discouraged after this game. You probably were too, so maybe I need to say sorry. I'm fairly confident he doesn't listen to the show at this point, so I know I'm off the hook. You're still not, especially if you're tagging him on Twitter. That's wild. If you're tagging him on Twitter, delete the tweets and say you're sorry, please. So Jake Diebler does this, by the way, against a coach in Dana Altman, who's won 20 games in every single season that he's been at Oregon. Look at Oregon's past in basketball. The pedigree is absolutely not there. That's insanely good at Oregon. He's probably the best coach ever at Oregon at this point. 9 NCAA tournaments. He's been there for 15 years now. I mean, this is an incredible run that Dana Altman has put on at Oregon. He's not doing this against some schlep of a coach. This is impressive work from Jake Diebler doing this against that coach. Ohio State had 12 teams fouls called on them in the first half alone. A couple minutes in the second half, you had John Mobley Jr. and you had Amari Bynum, each with 3 fouls. Then you've got Christoph Tilly, Ivan Nigvan, and Gabe Cupps with 2 fouls each. Royal, Cupps, Nigvan, each with 2. That's 5 of your 8 contributors. One of those 8 contributors is one who should not be getting any minutes right now. And you may argue that some of those others in those 8 should not be getting any minutes right now, but that's where the team is right now. You're barely into the second half. You've got 5 of 8 in foul trouble. You've lost a former starter. I know he's a former starter, and now he's coming off the bench. Whatever. You don't want to lose. No one in the world can argue to me that this team is better without Brandon Knoll than they would be with it. That's just dumb. I'm not here for that type of argument. You lost a former starter, important role player in Knoll. For the first time, you don't get to learn on the fly. You got to go. And what Jake Diebler did in this game was he led his team to a 21 to nothing run at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. 11 actually. It was probably about midnight or when that 21 to nothing run was going on, and he dominates Oregon. He wins by 10 with the foul trouble, with the lack of depth. Your first game without Brandon Knoll. I think that's very impressive. And I think for now, for this game, I'm not saying overall, I'm not saying everyone needs to walk back their takes on what they think about Jake Diebler, but for right now, we walk it back and just say that was a nice performance from Jake Diebler and his team that he provided on Thursday night into Friday morning against Oregon. That's all I have to say. The bench. Let's talk about the bench. So Gabe Cupps, actually good. Some are questioning it. Probably not that many people are saying that, but the performance he had in this game, it was very good. So the broadcast said he was 0 of 1 from the field his past 37 minutes playing. In this game, he scores 9 points, 7 in the first half. He was a huge spark for Ohio State off the bench in the first half. What have we been asking for from Ohio State this year? Number one, it's bench scoring. It's been horrible. It's been really bad. Someone's got to contribute off the bench for Ohio State. Number two, be better in the first half. What'd you get in this game? Ohio State led the first half, first time all year against a power conference opponent, and a bench player had 7 points in the first half, near the team lead in the first half. So I think he kind of forgot what it felt like to make a three in a game. He gets immediately teched up. I don't know what he said. I don't know what he did. I don't know what Jake Diebler said to him. Probably something along the lines of, "Gabe, come on, you're better than that. Act like you've been there before." But overall, 3 of 4 shooting. He had 4 rebounds in this game. Gabe Cupps looked good. He looked good. That was encouraging to see. Colin White, on the other hand, he looked pretty uncomfortable in this game. He was 0 of 2 shooting. He had 2 fouls. A couple wonky passes as well. Just not looking all that comfortable. I will say both of the three-point attempts he got were not necessarily normal. They were pretty atypical. One of those came in the corner, and it was just a desperation heave. Another was that air ball in the second half where he drops the pass, which, yeah, that's probably technically his fault, but still just a weird shot. So I don't know. I don't know about Colin White. Like I root for him so hard, and I want to see him produce a little bit more defensively. I want to see the playmaking ability that he showed last year as a freshman kind of bubble up again a little bit. I don't know what to say of Colin White at this point. Other than that, look, you're not asking him to be the number one scorer. You're not asking him to be the best 3-point shooter on the team. You're just asking him to come in and give 10, 12, 14, 9 minutes in a game and just don't be the weak link. And we'll see if Colin White can grow at this point. I do wonder on the bench, though. I wonder if with the loss of Brandon Nola, this kind of freed up some people mentally. I wonder if there was not necessarily a mental block, but a mental unlocking. Now with Brandon Nola out, these bench players realize they have to step up and they have to create and they have to score because no one else is going to do it with them. They might as well do it themselves. I know that Jake Diebler has kind of been expressing that to his guys off the bench and Tayson Chapman, a guy who didn't play in this game. Jason Chapman, way too timid. This is something I said 2 years ago as a freshman. I said, man, when he's got the ball in his hands, when he gets into the game, he looks really timid. He does not look that interested in scoring for Ohio State. That still continues to be the case. And I think that's a big reason why he can't get on the floor. But overall, I think with the loss of Brandon Knoll, guys kind of feel more freed up to go score. They feel like they're allowed to go play a little bit more freely offensively and have some fun. And because of that, we saw Gabe Cupps score 7 points in this game. That was really encouraging to see. Now, on the rotation. So I told the insider subscribers on the Substack, you're going to see more of Negavon, Colin White, and Cups. And in that order, what do we see? Negavon, he plays 10 minutes in this one. It's the most he's gotten in a game since the Mount St. Mary's game, where he played 16, I think. And most of those minutes came in the second half, where Christoph Philly was held out for the entirety of the second half. So he gets an uptick in minutes. Cool. Colin White got 9 minutes. Most he's seen since the North Carolina game. The West Virginia game, he got a lot of minutes too. Ohio State got into some foul trouble. Obviously, they go into several overtimes in that game, so I don't really count that one. But White gets an uptick in minutes too. And then Gabe Cupps, he sees 23 minutes in this one. That's the most he's gotten in a 40-minute game this year, other than the App State game, which wasn't a or was a blowout. So it's the most minutes Colin White has gotten, Gabe Cupps has gotten in a game so far this year that wasn't a blowout and wasn't in overtime. So that said, and the other thing I said, I will say in the insider Substack, I said, look, guys, I don't think we're going to see Taysom Chapman. I don't think we're going to see Matthew Grugic in this game. I think I said something along the lines of, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't play. They didn't play. I don't know, man. That Substack subscription, it might be worth it. It might be worth it. Everyone fans differently. It's a different approach. I get it. It supports me. It supports the show. I really appreciate those who are there. I love those guys, by the way, and gals, if there's any gals there. Um, I love that chat because I try to post a message at least once per day, like on average. Sometimes it's 3 messages per day. Sometimes there's nothing there on a day, whatever the case may be. But something about the rotation, injuries, playing time. I have whispers. I have whispered something on Brandon only. Playing time, any other intel or like scoop that I could give throughout the season, I put that there, and then in the off season, it's all portal, it's all recruiting. So I recommend you get there. I'll give you a week free. Just reach out. There's a link in the description as well as you're watching the show. But that said, I don't know. It might be worth it. It might be worth it. It might not be. It's up to you. So, and I love those guys. That was my point. So I'm actually going to look right now. I'm going to look in our Substack. So, and just so you know, it's not views from the shot. podcast.substack.com. You got to actually go to the chat if you want access to this. Let's see. We had 90 messages sent. I posted a game thread, every game for Ohio State. 90 messages sent where guys are just going back and forth talking about the game. I freaking love it. I love those guys. I love Grant. I love Oscar. I love Dub. I love Matthew. I'm shouting these guys out. They didn't give me permission. And there's a bunch of other guys who reply there as well. In the Ohio State Nebraska game thread, when people were actually like awake for the game, um, we had 115 replies. So it's really fun. I sometimes I have to mute it myself because there's so many messages going on. I'm trying to watch the game, all that stuff, but it's a great time. So that's a nice perk of the chat as well. It's way less toxic than the Courtside Buckeyes community. I will say that. So Ohio State picks up a quad two win. It should always be a quad two win. I don't see Oregon falling out of the top 135 in the net, but you never know. When they pick up the quad two win, I don't know when the net updates again. It seems to be every couple of days. I don't know if there's like a set schedule. This is updated through game January 8th. So it looks like the net has actually just updated since I started recording. So the Buckeyes are now 37th in the net. Previously 38th. They're now 1-3 in quad one, 3-1 in quad two, 1-0 and 6-0 in quad three and four. Here's just so you know, as we start to think about NCAA tournament, Ohio State's going to be on the bubble again. I think you cannot afford a quad three or quad four loss. You need to start building some road victories and you got to pick up some quad one and quad two games. Really got to probably be at least 500, if not much better in quad two. And you got to have a few or a handful of quad one wins typically to have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Ohio State on the road is now 3-1, and all three of those road wins come in Big Ten play. They won against Illinois, they won against Rutgers, and they now won against Oregon. The first 3-0 road start in conference since like 2018. That's really encouraging too. So I got to pump the brakes a little bit. I'm getting a little excited just looking at these numbers. That's good for Ohio State. They're starting to build out that NCAA tournament resume at this point. You have the three road wins all in conference. That's huge. You're 3-1 in quad two. That really helps as well. Now, guess what? Ohio State plays Washington 6 p.m. on Peacock on Sunday. That's a quad one game as of now. Got to be in the top 75 for that to remain a quad one game. We'll see if Washington can stay there. I don't know if they'll be able to, but man, if you can pick up that win, folks, we start to get really excited again. I so badly want to freaking watch Selection Sunday and live stream it and see Ohio State get in. Last year, I live streamed it, knowing Ohio State was unlikely to get in. I talked to several people, as specific as I'll be. I talked to players, I talked to staff. I asked everyone, is there any expectation that your name was going to get called? Like, no one said yes. Absolutely not. They also had a team meeting on that Sunday before Selection Sunday, basically closing the season, saying we're not playing in the Crown. We're not doing any postseason. This is it. We're done. So I would love to go this year and say Ohio State is a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament or 11. I don't care. Just get in. So we'll see if Ohio State can do that. Long ways away from that, but appreciate you being here today. Schedule's been really weird. I do want to apologize for that. It's really weird. I'm getting no sleep right now. Love the puppy. He's great. Named him Sonny after Sonny Styles. Why? Because my wife wanted a dog and I wanted to name him after an athlete. Sonny was the name. What am I going to name him? Julian? No. Devin? No. Jake? Uh-huh. So we named him Sonny. That said, Sonny didn't give us any good luck against Miami. And also, it just keeps me up, and naps are weird, and everything is weird, and that's okay. It's fine. It's just a stage of life we're in right now. Gotta lean in and just lock in, and we'll be okay. That said, the episodes and stuff, they may be weird times, so that's why you should be on the Substack. I will update you when episodes are coming out and all that stuff. So I'm sorry. I know it's not great of me to be doing what I'm doing, and I do apologize. It's going for you. I have people messaging me. Just trying to be the best that I can for you. Anyways, I appreciate you listening to today's show. You are the best. Have an amazing weekend. We'll be back tomorrow to preview Ohio State against Washington. Until next time, I shut up before you shut me off. Go Bucks.